Welcome back. We're talking to Mr. David Danieli. Mr. David, we were talking that America is keeping you, that means Israel, at the forefront and serving its own purposes. And you denied this statement. You denied this thought. You want to say something more on this?
To put it in a single dimension picture that Israel is acting on behalf of these or other countries, that such assertion doesn't hold water at all.
But don't you think somewhere it has happened that Israel has given this picture that it has gone anti-Islamic?
Israel doesn't see itself in a war with the Muslim world, and I regret if such a wrong perception is being established in the mind of the people. Israel does not fight Muslim world, doesn't fight Islam. It's wrong to depict this conflict across religious lines. Israel is willing, is wishing, is yearning to live in peace with its neighboring countries. Our neighboring countries happen to be Muslim countries.
Why till late, whatever peace process you have thought of working on or the other countries have thought to work with you, has failed?
Already 25 years back, a peace treaty was signed between Israel and the largest Arab country, Egypt. A couple of years later, we signed peace treaty with Jordan. Earlier than that, we have reached historic reconciliation with the Palestinian people. I mentioned that we have no friction, we have no controversy with Lebanon. So where do you see these continuous fractions? With whom do we have to make peace? With Indonesia, which is far apart? This is wrong perception.
Then what about Camp David Accord or right to return or such issues?
The issues are the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which has to be resolved around the table. The root cause of the present conflict that we are with the Hamas is the very intention and desire of the Hamas to opt for constant conflict and strife.
Do you think across the table you will be able to solve this issue? It has been years you've not been able to sort it out.
Well, you need two for tango. You do not negotiate with somebody who denies your right to exist and doesn't recognize previous agreements and doesn't renounce terror. The only possibility, if we are talking, we shouldn't lump sum all issues together, Lebanon, Palestine, neighboring countries, etc. It would be wrong to look at it that way. If you wish me to comment on the Palestinian issue, so we are clearly on the record stating that dialogue could be resumed once Hamas will answer the three elementary conditions set forward by the international community, namely renouncing terror, recognizing Israel's right to exist, and recognizing all previous agreements between Israel and Palestinians.
You are not ready to bow down. The other country is not ready to bow down. What is your demand? What do you think will help to sort this issue out?
Certain issues have not a ready-made solution over the corner, and certain conflicts have to be managed for a long period of time. We are hopeful to find a quicker solution by the idea that for every political conflict or problem anywhere in the world, you have a magic wand, a ready-made solution. It's wrong. Certain conflict has to be managed, circumstances has to ripe until acceptable
You are giving
solution.
this indication. You're giving this indication that this problem will not be sorted out in near future as well. It will take years to be sorted out.
I'm giving indication that unless Palestinian will be able to nurture, to grow a leadership which will be willing to share the negotiation table with Israel on the basis of the notion of two-state solution. Israel is united. There is a consensus in Israel that the only solution is a political solution based on the idea of two states. We recognize Palestinian rights. We need a partner assuming the same rights for Israel.
Mr. David, is this war, is this fight that you're having with Palestinians, is this war for the existence or against terrorism?
Our fight against terror doesn't mean that a political solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is impossible. Right now, we are in a phase of our relations with the Palestinians where terror has been employed against the state of Israel, and we have to answer this concrete issue right now. The conditions for resumptions of political dialogue do not exist yet. We come to the political dialogue once those conditions, which I have mentioned, will be answered by the Palestinian side. So one does not exclude the other.
Do you think after Yasser Arafat, we felt, all our people felt, that the problem, the war, would subside? Do you think it has increased, the problems have increased?
We hope that after Yasser Arafat we'll have the opportunity to embark on the renewed dialogue, and Israel has assisted a great deal the political process itself by Israel's unilateral withdrawal from Gaza. Don't overlook this very critical phase when Israel has completely withdrawn from Gaza. It should be taken by Palestinians, and could have been taken as a golden window of opportunity to embark on a nation building, to invest their energies and mind in rehabilitating Gaza, moving forward with Israel. Instead, under the current Palestinian leadership, Gaza has turned to be a large terror base which is directed against Israel. What is the purpose?
Palestinians say that the war that is happening with Israel and the terror that is there in Israel is state-organized terrorism.
Israel fights terror. Israel has proposed in a good faith political dialogue based on a mutually agreed roadmap between Israel and Palestinians. Why wouldn't you look to the Hamas covenants, which calls for the destruction of the state of Israel? Where is it in the world that international community expect a single state to maintain a dialogue with a movement, with a government which calls openly for its destruction?
Don't you think that such wars, such kind of fights that you're having in different places, normal people, the public, is getting affected? So many Indians were trapped there in Lebanon. They have to be rescued from there. Don't you think? Otherwise, people are being killed in this kind of thing.
Wars are not being conducted for the purpose of killing innocent civilians. Terror aims at innocent civilians, and Israeli citizens are badly affected by the current situation. Close to 1 million Israelis are right now under the direct threat of Hezbollah missiles and rockets, making use of their bomb shelter. That would be equivalent something like 150 million Indians to be in the bomb shelters because they have been rocketed over the from the other side of the border. There is enormous lethal arsenal amassed across the border with Lebanon. This arsenal is not Hezbollah made. It was exported from different places. We are under threat. We have to give, as a democratic nation, as a free nation, we have to give an answer, immediate answer to the threat. You are talking of much broader prospects of eventual peaceful existence. We are very hopeful the time will come when our neighbors set aside the ideas of hatred and destruction. We are here to stay. We are not about to leave this place. We should recognize each other's rights and engage in a dialogue.
Before we go for a short break, the last question before the break, Israel has been fighting war since its establishment. Is it the reason of Middle East crisis?
That depends on what you call Middle East crisis. Our neighboring countries were fighting each other quite occasionally. Iraq invaded Kuwait. Iraq attacked Iran 20 years back. Many wars has taken place in the Middle East with no link whatsoever to the Israeli-Arab conflict. So if you talk about Middle East crisis as a whole, this is much broader than the Arab-Israeli or the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But the Arab-Israeli conflict as a whole is on a good track of being resolved. And I have pointed to our peaceful relations with Egypt, with Jordan. We have unofficial good relations with other Arab and Muslim countries. We are hopeful to make good on this progress which has been achieved over 25 years.
The terror that you've been facing from Palestinian side, do you think it's a terror, Islamic terror? Do you term it as Islamic terror?
I'm terming it the terror that we are facing from the Palestinian side right now, mostly directed by the Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. We do not, sincerely, we do not believe that there is an objective reason to define our conflict as a war between Jews and Muslims in the region. We are fighting extremists, we are fighting militants, which are right now controlling the Palestinian government.
1992, in a real way, we can say that India and Israel started a diplomatic relationship. We'll talk on that, but before that, we have to go for a short break.